Let me show you how to quickly and easily convert fractions to percents. First, I want to refresh your memory. 10% is 10 over 100. That's how you write that as a fraction. You take whatever's in front of the percentage sign and write as your numerator, and you represent the percentage sign by writing 100 in the denominator. Because percentage is based on a total of 100 parts to make a whole. And the denominator of a fraction tells you how many total parts make up a whole. So the percentage, which is based on 100, goes in the denominator, and whatever is in front of the percentage sign becomes the numerator. So 36% is 36 over 100. R percent is R over 100. Let's look at the first example. 3/4. I want to write this fraction as a percent. So my first goal is to rewrite this fraction as an equivalent fraction with 100 in the denominator. If I do that, this is the same as x percent. X over 100 is x percent. So once I find out what x is, then I know how much this fraction is in percentage. Just like this, 10 over 100 means 10%. X over 100 means x percent. So I need to convert this into an equivalent fraction with 100 in the denominator. I can easily convert this into an equivalent fraction by multiplying 25 to the denominator, and I'll get 100. 4 times 25 is 100. Whatever I do to the denominator, I must do to the numerator. Whatever I do to the numerator, I must do to the denominator. So since I multiplied 25 to 4 in order to get 100, I must multiply 25 to 3, and that gives me 75. If there is no whole number that I can multiply the denominator to make 100, then the best method is to use cross multiplication. In fact, you can always use cross multiplication. When it's something simplistic to multiply, you save some calculations. But this is the way to do it, cross multiplication. If you have any trouble understanding or using cross multiplication, please watch my video on cross multiplication. The denominator of one fraction times the numerator of another fraction equals the denominator of that fraction times the numerator of the first one. This is called cross multiplication. So 4 times x is 4x. 3 times 100 is 3 times 100, 300. Now to isolate the x, I have to divide by 4 because 4 is being multiplied to the x. So I must divide by 4. Whatever I do to one side of the equal sign, I must do to the other side. So I must divide this side by 4. So 4 divided by 4 is 1. So I have 1x, so here's the x. And 3 times 100 is 300, divided by 4 is 75. So x equals 75. 3/4 equals 75%. Let's look at the next example. I want to convert the fraction 5/7 into percentage. I need to find an equivalent fraction with 100 in the denominator in order to do that, because percentage is based on a total of 100 parts. So I have to find an equivalent fraction for 5/7 that has 100 in the denominator. When I find an equivalent fraction for 5/7 that has 100 in the denominator, whatever is in the numerator is my percentage. X over 100. X over 100 means x percent. 10 over 100 means 10%. 36 over 100 means 36%. R over 100 means R percent. So I'm going to use cross multiplication because there is no whole number that I can multiply to 7 and get 100. 7 times x is 7x. 5 times 100 is 500. I need to isolate the x. I need to get the x by itself. So because 7 is being multiplied to x, I must divide by 7. Whatever I do to one side of the equal sign, I must do to the other. So I must divide this side by 7. 7 divided by 7 is 1, so I have 1x, or I can just write x. 5 times 100 is 500, divided by 7 is 71.43. So x equals 71.43. 5/7 equals 71.43%. Let's look at our last example. 17 over 25. I want to convert that into an equivalent fraction with 100 in the denominator. In order to move from 25 to 100, I have to multiply by 4. So I don't have to do cross multiplication in this example because I can easily just multiply this one by 4 and multiply 17 by 4. And that will equal 68. And 17 over 25 equals 68%. If you didn't see or understand that you could multiply 4 to 25 to get 100, and therefore you'd have to multiply 4 to the numerator because you multiplied 4 to the denominator, then you would utilize cross multiplication. 25 times x equals 17 times 100. I want to know what x is, not 25x. So in order to isolate x, I have to do the opposite of what's being done to it. 25 is being multiplied to x, so I must divide by 25. Whatever I do to one side of the equal sign, I must do to the other. So I must divide this side by 25. 25 divided by 25 equals 1. So I have 1x. I can just write the x down here. 17 times 100 is 1700. And divide that by 25 equals 68. The fraction 17 over 25 equals 68%. This 68 represents x. And as we said up here, x percent is 68%. I hope this lesson was helpful. Please check out my video on converting percents to fractions. Have a great day. Bye-bye.